We left Scotland and Stirling Castle behind us and drove back into the north of England, headed to London. We drove through the Yorkshire Dales and enjoyed looking at the moody wild landscape. There must have been a lot of work in building thousands of kilometres of stone walls. We drove past some animals and saw some very old houses that were nearly about to crumble down.
Homeschooling is usually made up of 3 things: compulsory maths and English, and then either an inquiry, spelling words, or a talk about something or other with mum or dad. Also, there's usually a good behaviour lecture to anyone who slows progress. And today was no exception. But still, I think we should have been looking at that amazing Yorkshire Dales view out the window. Dad flew the drone around, and while trying to get a cool spinning shot, he managed to crash into the hill.
We arrived at Castleton at the end of the day and went through the village to find the castle ruins. Peveril Castle was built in the 11th century and is overlooking Castleton village. The houses look like something from a fairy tale. The ruins were closed, but we found a valley beside the castle and found a whole lot of fossils in the rocks. We were cracking the rocks open and finding lots of shell fossils.
We continued our way southwards towards London. I was really excited to go to London because we were going to travel on the old-fashioned buses and see Big Ben.
We're back up on the Hampstead Heath, place we used to spend a lot of time.
It was quite late, but we still managed to walk in Hampstead Heath. Mum and Dad said it would be a short walk, but it was probably an hour's walk around the park.
Where are you?
We're in London at this at a park.
Hampstead Heath?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Duck cam.
Away from the gate. Thank you.
When we arrived back at the motorhome, we nearly had a heart attack because there were some police outside. We then found out they were removing the stolen car. We enjoyed watching how they did it.
To begin our London tour, we caught a bus to Camden Town. There was the most people I'd ever seen in my life, and lots of shops with loud music pumping out. We went into a market and it was a struggle to move. The stalls were jam-packed with touristy stuff and a big hole was being burned in our shallow pockets. We saw lots of funny people walking around, and I bought a metal guitar keyring from a shop for £1.
Cheese?
We met up with Lauren outside Buckingham Palace and squeezed our way through the mass crowd of people who were watching the London Marathon. Apparently, there were 40,000 people running the course. We decided to go to the Imperial War Museum. When we arrived, the first thing we saw was the V2 of the German buzz bomb. We had a look around before going back to the motorhome.
As usual, we had to do our morning schoolwork. Afterwards, we walked down to a bus stop and hopped on a double-decker bus. We then went up to the top of the bus and wound our way through the streets of London. When we got to Leicester Square,
we hopped off the bus and saw some enormous TVs stuck onto the wall. There were lots of buskers and there were lots of interesting people to watch.
We had time to look at the horse guards, so we climbed out of the bus and crossed over the road. One of them kept putting its tongue out and licking a part of its rein. The horse seemed to be a little bit uncomfortable. I really liked watching those horses.
What's that behind you there?
St. Paul's Cathedral.
Oh yes, look at that. Awesome.
After having a bag of Doritos under Big Ben listening to the Brexit protesting at a roundabout, we moved over to St. Paul's Cathedral to have a look around. It is built at the highest point in London and was built in the 17th century. In the bombings of World War II, a bomb hit the building, setting it on fire. Winston Churchill directed all of the firefighters in the city to St. Paul's. We walked over the Millennium Bridge and passed an awesome busker and a man yelling angrily at random people. The Tate Art Museum was actually quite interesting. It had the weirdest displays of art, such as a ploughed triangle painted yellow and stuck on a wall.
We walked through the huge hordes of people and got our first glimpse of the Tower Bridge. We marvelled at the sight, and I couldn't imagine how long it would have taken to build it. The Tower Bridge is a suspension bridge, and it was built between 1886 and 1894. It crosses the River of Thames next to the Tower of London, and it stretches about 244 metres. It sometimes gets confused with the London Bridge. They are two very different bridges, and the London Bridge is half a mile upstream from the Tower Bridge. We bussed into town again and walked to the Natural History Museum. We were very excited when we found a big dinosaur moving around. We had a look at him for a while before looking around the rest of the museum.
Where are you?
Well, we're at Lake outside Hyde Park.
Oh, very good.
It's inside.
What's the significance of that?
Well, named after us.
We went for a sit down in Hyde Park for a rest and had something to eat in the sun. There were swans, Canadian geese and ducks. On the way back to the motorhome, we went through Oxford Street and it was extremely busy.
Oh, hey, you guys, look. That's our flat.
Oh, is it?
You know that? We used to live there. It's a nice quiet street. Okay, guys, where are we?
Well, we're at Highgate at Mum and Dad's old flat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 245 Archway Road. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still looks very much the same. Right, we're just leaving London and heading over the Dartford Bridge down towards Canterbury.
It was my birthday, and it was the day before we were going on the ferry. We walked around the town of Canterbury and looked in all the different shops. My favourite shop was a Mexican shop with cool clothes.
Well, we just got down to Dover, where we're going to spend tonight before we go over on the ferry tomorrow. And there is a lot of motorhomes down here. Seems to be trendy. So we'll have to pick a spot. Alright guys, where are you today?
Well, so we're at Dover the night before. We're going to go over to France on the ferry.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're having my birthday dinner.
Alright.
It's his birthday today.
Yeah. He wanted something that Jamie Oliver wouldn't have been impressed with. We've got lots of chicken nibbles and some samosas and some onion bhajis and stuff. And then we got some dirty old whipped cream and
New Zealand whipped cream.
Chocolate and raspberry rolls.
yeah, should be quite good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Horse.
Was. Okay. Oh, best we much.
Yeah.
Is that the best healthy dinner you've had?
Yeah. It's the best dinner.
So far.
But no, it's a good dinner.
Maybe stand them up, Matthew. Oh, the knife has come apart.
Last one.
The best one.
Alright, we're going into our ferry here.
We wound our way past a couple of border control booths and had our passports checked. Then followed the lanes through the port and up into the P&O ferry. We were finally going to France. The ferry was massive and I was really excited. It went about 20 knots and took an hour and a half to get across to Calais. There were some shops on board and we also spent time on the deck watching the water go by.
The ferry ride over was very short, only about an hour and a half long. During this period of time, we sat in a cafe doing schoolwork. I got a chair and stuck it right in front of the window. I looked up from my maths and saw France. Pretty soon, we walked down to deck 7 and started up our motorhome. I was wondering if Dad would crash while driving on the other side of the road. Bonjour, France.